Getting to finally try the Pan America. Let's get after it. My buddy's riding my GS. So I finally got to go out and check out this bike. One of my buddies just bought a Pan America and he's really liking it. He's got 3 Harleys already, and this was just another one to his collection. So I just want to go through a few quick things. There's not really much to say. There's a ton of reviews on this bike already. This is a 2022 model, and it's really not, I just don't want to go through everything that everyone else has already gone through. You know, I can tell you all the specs. It's got 150 horsepower, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. A little bit more than GS, didn't really feel a difference when in the throttle that much, but you do feel it slightly, like really slightly. So I just wanted to give you guys some videos. I think it's fun footage, and as well could give you a little bit of my feedback on riding the Pan America. So let's get after it. All right, so if you are in the market for a new adventure motorcycle, something that's really cool, Harley Davidson holds the majority of the market in the US for most motorcycles sold. Now, I think what Harley Davidson is really trying to do, and I think what really sets them apart, is they're actually trying to appeal to a whole new market, because their Harley Davidson clientele are getting much older and aging out of motorcycles. So what do you have to do? You have to start catering to guys my age, younger guys that are coming up that want something a little bit more tech laden. What really sets apart Harley Davidson's Pan America from other adventure motorcycles? When you're riding this thing, a couple things do stand out. The windscreen, I think the look of the bike is really kind of struggling. You know, I know that they still tried to keep their Harley Davidson essence around this thing, but the windscreen seems a little bit just not thought out. I do think it definitely feels like a Harley Davidson the way the windscreen is shaped, but it's not a cool shape. You know, it kind of has this strange feel to it. Bike in particular was a special edition, so it's loaded out with a little bit more kit, and it does have the electronic suspension and so on and so forth. It even has a suspension where if you're rolling up to a light, as it sees you slowing down, it will lower the suspension as you come to the light, so that if you're a shorter guy, you can reach the ground a little bit easier, which I think is a really cool feature, and it applies to a much wider range of people. The screen is quite good. You can actually detail it a little bit differently. It has a Harley Davidson feel to it, kind of has that tachometer look, whereas the GS has something that looks a little bit more futuristic and a little bit more electronic, if you will. But I still prefer the TFT on the GS. I still think it's the best right now on the market as far as adventure motorcycles. You know, Africa Twin's coming out with a really nice touchscreen on theirs next, which I think is great. They've got CarPlay on there as well. So that's something I think everybody should jump on board with. But for now, still really love the GS TFT. On the Harley Davidson, the TFT is nice. You do have a lot of options to actually, you know, you can tailor a lot what you see on the screen. Even in the newer versions, they've actually changed the font size, because before the font was a little bit smaller. So now it's a bit bigger. I didn't feel like I had any problems. At first, I felt like there was too much on the screen, too much information, but you can actually click a few buttons and actually get rid of most of that information, so you don't have to have everything on the screen, and you can also tailor what appears on the screen as well. As far as selecting your ride modes, I did find that a bit strange. To select the ride modes, you have to go through and you just get images, you don't get words, which for me is a bit, I don't know, I guess at a glance it's okay. The MT-09 is kind of like that as well, where you just have an image of the road. You know, like it's a road mode looks like a road, and sport mode is just an S. Rain mode's got a cloud with rain coming out. So it's still easy to tell what you're in. I just wish it was a little bit easier at a glance. I don't know, for me it just seemed a bit weird. Maybe I had to get used to it. Another thing that's awesome about this TFT, and they do a really good job, is actually integrating maps into the TFT. So you can put maps on your phone through the Harley Davidson app, and then actually use the map on the TFT there. Like the GS, you know, they have the Garmin that they kind of put up there, which is, in my opinion, is kind of a waste of money. Feels like, okay, I've got 2 screens on here now. It would be so much easier if I just had one, you know? I don't know, I just wish I could put it all on one screen. And when you do put it on one screen, you can still have your speedo and everything there on the right, and have the maps on the left, which is still a cool feature. And the maps are nice and clear, easy to see. The bike did feel quite slim. You know, it's very nimble, very slim. One thing I would say is you don't get a lot of wind protection or anything on this bike. You definitely feel it on your legs. It definitely does feel warmer on your legs. I did feel like my legs were getting warm, as opposed to the GS. You don't really get that, I guess, because the engine shape, you know, you've got those heads up a little bit taller. We did get the chance to take these a little bit off-road. It's really just like a gravel road that was a bit bumpy, so it wasn't too bad, but it was nice to see how this thing handled. I was able to put it in off-road mode and you know, just kind of see how it fishtailed around a little bit. I didn't push it too hard because it was my buddy's bike, and so I didn't want to crash this thing. So at the end of the day, this bike does come in around the same price pretty much as all the other adventure motorcycles out there right now. As far as differentiating itself from the pack, how does Harley Davidson do that with the Pan America? I couldn't really find anything about this bike that I was like, wow, this is really cool feature that sets it apart from the rest of the pack. When you look at the GS, it's got the boxer engine, it's got all that low down weight, it's got the telelever front suspension, so you have zero dive in the front of the bike, almost zero dive, and it's a legend in the class. It basically started the adventure class back in the day. You've got the Triumph Tiger that's really well known for that triple engine, which is a really unique delivery on that bike, and even the newer Tigers are looking amazing, the suspension and everything, and they said that they just handle brilliantly on the road. With Honda Africa Twin, of course, another legend in the class. Now the Africa Twin has that kind of in between where it's an 1100, so if you want like a bigger motorcycle with more power but you still want something a little bit lighter, you can kind of go with the Africa Twin. You're getting a little, you know, losing a little bit of that weight, a little bit more nimble, unless you go with the Super Adventure, and then you're kind of classing up as well. And something else with the Africa Twin is it's a bigger bike with a 21-inch front wheel, which is kind of nice. KTM, you're getting the same thing again. You know, you have the Super Adventure, which is just in its class, it's the most powerful as far as adventure motorcycles. It's got a ton of torque and a ton of horsepower, and that thing rips on the road and also off-road. KTM is really focused off-road, so that's what sets it apart. And then of course you have the ever-trusted Super Tenere 1200, which is an incredible motorcycle, and it's known for its reliability and cost effective. So what really sets apart the Harley Davidson from the others? It was really hard for me to figure that out, because as it is a great bike and it does handle well, it's comfortable for the most part, and it's got quite a bit of power, more than the GS actually as far as horsepower goes. I didn't really feel much of a difference, but on paper it does have more. But I couldn't find something that I was like, wow, this would be a great bike for fill in the blank. I couldn't figure that out. You know, there's so many people that I would not recommend a GS to because their style of riding is completely different. So what's the thing that Harley Davidson is marketing to with the Pan America? I think what you're really looking at is the thing that makes Pan America so great is they've already got a huge clientele of Harley Davidson owners, just like my buddy, who then says, oh, you know what? This might be a way for me to try something new. And so they go into the Pan America. And the Pan America for the last couple years has actually been one of the flagship bikes for Harley Davidson, and they are getting incredible sales in the United States for the Pan America. Maybe I'm wrong, but what I could see online, it was the #1 selling adventure motorcycle on the market right now, which was kind of disappointing to me because I'm a BMW fanboy. But yeah, it's actually doing really, really well for Harley Davidson, and I know their goal is to get 1 million bikers on the road on their motorcycles. That was their campaign slogan a few years back. I think this is a great way for them to cater to that younger marketplace, those guys that want a little bit more tech on their bikes, those guys that want that electronic suspension that's adjusting for them, also wanting something a little bit more comfortable and long distance touring, which a lot of their bikes do already, but this is just a completely different style. The sound is not a Harley sound at all. It does sound a bit anemic to me. Sounds more like something like maybe a Super Tenere would, which, you know, maybe a little bit more grunty, but not much. I did hear actually a lot of Harley Davidson owners that try this new Pan America, and what they're saying is they don't like the TFT. They don't like that everything is just there. They want the analog dials and everything for the tack and the speedo. You know, they love the more traditional kind of ruggedness of the Harleys, and so that's why people love Harleys. People can stay with Harleys, that's fine, but guys that want adventure motorcycles, I think this could be a great leap for you. If you're in the Harley Davidson market already and you're looking at trying an adventure motorcycle, this could be a great entry level motorcycle for you. So you guys let me know what you think. Is this a motorcycle that you would consider getting into yourself? Would you buy the Harley Davidson Pan America? If not, what is your motorcycle of choice in the adventure lineup? Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Love to have you guys along with us, and we will catch you guys on the pavement. Ride safe, and we'll see you out there.